Welcome to Lesson 10. The constant we're covering now is the Sade. Okay, the Sade, and we'll look here. This is one of my favorite constants too. The way you make the Sade is you come down and over and then put this little leg on it. That's the way I do it. So write 5 or more Sades here. Now when we look at the ancient, and it's down here at the end. So see, it looks like a squiggly thing. It says a man kneeling, humility, worship, hunt, or search. You don't see that, but it could be. Okay. So now when we look at our constants and we come down here, it's number 90. And it's a TS or a TZ, as in nuts. And you may see it transliterated as an S. So it's a TS or TZ, as in nuts. Okay. So this is a Sade Sophite. It only appears at the end of a word, and it's a TS or a TZ. So when we look at our consonants, it's this one, and it's 900. And it's a TS or TZ. Now when we look at our block letters, here it is here. It goes below the line. So here's the Sade and the Sade Sophite. So it's the Sade. And the way I do this one is I draw this line and then I draw that one. Okay. Here's the Qaf. So it's similar to the Qaf, but it doesn't have the top on it. So this one and this one look similar. Okay. This is a Qaf and this is a Sade Sophite. So write 5 or more of those here. Now we want to transliterate this. So this would just be, and I usually use TS. It could be TZ, and like I say, you may see it transliterated as a S. So we say TS. This would be TSA. This is the Sophite, so it's TS. And this would be TSO. And this would be TSI. So we got sa, so, si, sa, so, si. Okay? So now we come to the next word, which is Daniel. And this translates as Daniel. And it's used about 50 times in the Aramaic portion of Daniel and Ezra. So it's Strong's 1841. Now, notice there are 2 Y's because of the doggish. Okay? So we have the DANIY because of the doggish there on the yod, you get 2 Y's. So this is a doggish forte. Then you get a YE, and then this was a vowel in the past. So that's why it's lingering like that. So you get a YEL. So it's Daniel. Daniel. So now we have Le Daniel. So this is 2 Daniel. Le is the prefix. So then the next word we get into is, and we want to see an example of Daniel, and we don't have it, but we got it here. Okay, so here's Danielle. They didn't put the two Y's. They should have put the two Y's. And let's see. See, that was great. It was translated as captain here. There's our word of, and there's our word who. So we're seeing more and more. And there's Babylon that we just covered. So you're picking out more and more words that we've already covered. You can transliterate these other words, and up here is the transliteration, but it's a slightly different transliteration than what we use. Okay? So now, the next word is Nebuchadnezzar, and it's used 31 times in there. So, Nebuchadnezzar, so we got a Shabbat here, and it's pronounced, so it's Nebuchad. This Shabbat follows a short vowel, so it's not pronounced. Netz, tz, because of the doggish, ar. And the r's are usually rolled, so it'd be tzar. So let's see. Here it is in our lexicon, and it's translated as Nebuchadnezzar. And let's see if we got old Nebuchadnezzar down here. There he is. Big word. Daniel 2:28. Here's king again. We've talked about king in the past. Here's God. Here's heaven. King. So we're picking up quite a few words here as we go along. So now we come to this one. So this is Nebuchadnezzar, the king made. So that's how that would translate. Nebuchadnezzar, the king made. So here's all the transliteration. Nebuchadnezzar Malka Avad. So our next word is Jerusalem. So you would expect Jerusalem to be mentioned a lot in the Bible, and it is. So in Hebrew and in Aramaic, there is no transliterated letter for J. So it's a Y. So it's Yerusalem. So it's Jerusalem. 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 You can kind of roll the R. Jerusalem. So we probably have Jerusalem in here. There it is. And King James does Jerusalem. New American Standard does Jerusalem. And we should have an example of Jerusalem. And there it is. So here's our D again. Here's to you. Here's God. 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 House. House. King. So all of these we've already covered. And there's our Jerusalem. Jerusalem. So here we say, and in Jerusalem. So here we've got a vet, and I mean a valve and a vet. So the valve is and, the vet is in, and in Jerusalem. Okay. So we got two prefixes, and in. Now in Ezra 5:2 it says this, house of God which is in Jerusalem. Okay. So here's house of the God. Should have said the God. Of, or, and then in Jerusalem. So then the next word is before, and before is used 46 times in the Aramaic portion. So here we have before, and you could do a Q here or a K. I like the K. So now this is a K-O, and this is a D-A-M. So we've got the Dalet with a Mem Sophic. Kodam, Kodam. And this is before, before. So next, what I wanted to show you was the Aramaic words for every book in the New Testament. Okay? This is the transliteration, Mata, for Matthew. This is the translation or meaning of that word. So Matthew means gift of Jehovah. This is John Mark. So this is Marcus. It's the Aramaic transliteration of a Greek word. So this is John Mark. John is his name, but his Roman name was Mark. And this is Luca. Luca, bringer of light. Yochanan is the book of John. Jehovah is gracious. Acts, and this is the struggle of the deputy or agent. So that's what Acts is about. This is Romans, that unto the Romans. Okay? So this is that unto, and this part is the Romans. Okay? So this is 1 Corinthians, the first of the Corinthians. The Dalet there is of. So this is of the Corinthians right here. And this second of Corinthians, here's Galatia, and that unto Galatia. So this is that unto, and there's Galatia, that unto Ephesians, and that unto Philippians, and that unto Colossia. So this is a transliteration, and this is translation. The first of the Thessalonians, the second to the Thessalonians, the first to Timothy, the second to Timothy. So this is the Timothy part right here. That unto Titus, and it's Titus in Aramaic. And Philemon, so So this would be pronounced Pidimon. Ibriyah, that's that unto the Hebrew. And this is to Jacob. And this is the epistle of Peter. And this is the second epistle of Peter, the epistle of John, the second epistle of John, the third epistle of John, and the epistle of Judah, and Revelation of John. So, Galena de Yochanan, Revelation of John. So I thought that might be interesting and a good way to end the lesson 10. So then, as a summary, we've covered about 40 words used in the Aramaic portion, so about 63% of the time you should be able to recognize about 4,400 words in the Aramaic portion of the Old Testament. If you'd like to study more in Aramaic, there are many books written on the subject. I downloaded all of these from the internet, but that's impossible now, so the government's cracked down on that. Basics of Biblical Aramaic is a good one. Very deep book. An Introduction to Aramaic by Greenspan. That's a pretty good book. Learn to Write Aramaic by Joshua Rutter. A Short Grammar in Biblical Aramaic. There are several Aramaic lexicons you can download from the internet. One of them is Hebrew and English Lexicon of the Old Testament. And then there's a lexicon of William Gesenius. So there's several of those that you may be able to access or download on the internet. There's also at least 4 translations of the Aramaic New Testament. You can get an Aramaic English New Testament. You can buy it or possibly download it online, and it has the New Testament in Aramaic. And since Jesus and the disciples spoke Aramaic, it was probably written originally in Aramaic and then translated to Greek. So several scholars believe that. So I'm not the only one that thinks that, because there's so much evidence. There's so many words that come from Aramaic. Abracadabra is a transliteration of an Aramaic word. Paradise is a transliteration of an Aramaic word. Satan is a transliteration of an Aramaic word. So many of the words that we see in our Bible today are transliterations of Aramaic words in the New Testament. So I hope you've enjoyed the course, and that ends Lesson 10.